Hey guys, I'm Recent Chewy Side, and I got a video for you guys today. As you can see, it's a track guide, but we're not in the typical NIS fixed, A car, the Ford Fusion. As you can see, it's a truck, and we're turning right. We're here at a Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or Mosport, or Mosport, whatever you want to say, or however you want to call it. Now, I don't really do track guides for these cars, but if you want me to, I'd need requests because I don't feel like wasting my time if no one, wants to watch them. But I'm doing this. The C-Fix, for one, is at this track this week. And we have a week off in the NIS, so I thought I'd have the time to do this. And someone requested that I do this to get ready for the Road Warrior race that's going to happen at this place here in a couple weeks. So yeah, using a 12-to-1 steering ratio, then everything else is default. The best I was able to get was a 124.0. So let's go ahead and explore that lap. So I'll shut up while you watch this. So there you have it. Let's go back to the beginning of this lap here. I could have just picked the last lap, but okay. So this is coming out of the last corner here. And if I haven't mentioned this is for the C-Fixed. So fixed setup, no, as I said, everything else was default except for this. I believe steering ratio might have been 10, but if not, it was 12. So that's what I'm using is 12. So as I said, you want to get a good run off the last corner to set up for the first turn. And the last corner, I'm in second gear. So let's make our way to turn one here. You can hear me hitting the limiter, so I'm not shifting, I'm staying in second. And pretty much once I hit the limiter, I am hard on the brake, or I'm getting on the brakes. So pretty much if you can use that as a reference point, this first telephone pole here on the left. At least I believe that's what that is. So I'm getting on the brakes right about there as I'm turning in. As you can see by the little steering wheel icon on the left. So second gear. You want to let it roll to get it to turn. And hell, you want to be right up against this curbing here. Still letting it roll. So once you're about half a truck length past the rumble strip, as I'm still trying to turn it down into close to that pit wall, I'm starting to pick the throttle up. So right about here. Then you start driving to the out like you normally would. Just start apexing from, going from the apex out. So once I'm at the end of the strip, I shift from second to third. And here is one of the hardest corners I've ever come across, if you ask me. Again, using a telephone pole as a reference. Or hell, when your windshield on the truck comes up. I don't know. When you're approaching the complete top of the hill, since this is an uphill section. So about right here, I'm getting on the brakes, and it's kind of a blind corner because you can't see what's going to happen, but it's all downhill from here. So I'm on the brakes, staying in third gear. Still on the brakes until I start to see the logos on the wall there. Then I let it roll. Treat it as a double apex corner. So I'll slow-mo that. Letting it roll. Letting it roll. And you want to turn down as close as you can to this part of the corner. So, I don't know, between... I'm calling this a double apex corner. So, between the first one, which is right about here, and the second one, which is about there. So, pretty much in between, I'm getting back on the throttle. So, right here. Hard on the throttle while I'm still turning down. You can actually get the left wheels below this line. Just don't go below the grass. And you want to drive this all the way out if you can, but... You know, I kind of left some room there on the table, but still on the throttle, third gear. Now here, once I get the truck straightened, as I'm coming across this billboard and the end of the wall on the right, you can see I'm straight. Then I get hard on the brakes here. Really hard. And right away I shift to second gear, so once I'm on the brakes, get it slowed down for about 1 second, then I'm downshifting to second gear. Still hard on the brakes. Then as I'm turning in, I'm releasing the brake and I let off completely and letting it roll till I hit the curbing right about here. So you start picking up the throttle too as you're doing that. You can kind of use the curbing to help turn the car. And carefully get back on the throttle in second gear. And shift at the end of the rumble strip. Get as close to the grass as you can to set up for this left-hander. Which you can consider this another double apex, but you can treat it as one corner. So, here, I don't really know how to explain it. I used a dab brake going under the bridge just to get it to turn. And that's one thing you'll find me doing this lap is tapping that brake to get the car to turn. Because it actually wants to turn. I'm letting it roll up until you get past the first part of this curve here. And you want to stay pretty much right against the white line. Because if you go too far under it, you'll hit a bump that's right about there. So I'm using the throttle to kind of get the car to move the way I want it to, but... didn't quite work. And again, here, once I get past this little patch, I get on the brakes pretty hard and as straight as possible. Second gear, first gear. Let me redo that here. So we're in third gear, approaching this all through that whole section once you shifted to third gear. And right about here, you can see what's going on. I'm downshifting to second right there. As well as downshifting to first right here. And still hard on the brakes, but it's going uphill at this point, so you won't need as much brake. And start turning in while you're releasing the brake. You want to touch the curbing, barely touch the curbing, getting yourself set to double apex this one as well. Which I kind of did a bad job in. You want to use some brake to get it to turn again and start using the throttle to get it to rotate past this curbing. So you don't want to hit that curb because it's really brutal. So I'm turning, and the minute you get past that curb, the big one on the right, you start using the throttle, still in first gear, to get the car to turn. Careful, it gets loose here. And right about here, I'm shifting from first to second, and on our way down the long back straightaway. Which I'm going to fast forward for you guys, because it's not important. Okay, so we're approaching this part of the hill here. You're in fourth gear, because you're getting most of the speed out of the truck here. You're in fourth gear. And once you approach the top of this hill, you can see I'm getting on the brakes pretty hard. I'm still on the brakes. Third gear. And as I'm turning in, I let off the brake, and second gear right there. I'm using the throttle to get me set up here. Use some brake to get it to turn. About in the middle of those two corners. And then once you feel the truck starting to turn, pretty much in the apex of this curbing, use the throttle, pick up the thing, and once you feel the car can be straight enough, you can step on the throttle for about a second. And then once you get the truck completely straight, hard on the brakes one more time. So pretty much when your windshield comes across this billboard here. Go hard on the brakes. Should be in second gear still all through here. use some of that curbing to get you the car to turn, but see, like I usually do, I'm completely off the brake as I'm approaching the curbing. And once I apex the curbing, start using some throttle. Okay, it's after the curbs. After the curbs, use some throttle to get it to turn. Step on it for a second, then hard on the brakes again. So pretty much when your truck comes in contact with this yellow line, just from your sight, hard on the brakes. And again, returning in, letting off the brake completely, and pretty much right in the apex of this corner, I'm on the gas. Slowly, because it just wants to step out, and it does badly here. So you want to get as good of a run off this corner, and that should get you a 124.0. And remember, I'm not quite the fastest guy in everything, but I try to give a good guideline. So it's a 124.0. That's the best I can do. That's the best I'll ever do, probably, but I believe I can get to the 123s, and you see some fast guys there. So anyways, you can check to the end of this video. There'll be another link to my previous guide, which will be Bristol in the A car. Anyways, I'll shut up. This has been Sim Racing Chewy Side. See you on the track.